My name is Tricia Cline, and I've been teaching here for, I guess, 10 years now. I have an interesting background in that I'm self-taught, and I took ceramic sculpture actually it wasn't even ceramic sculpture, I took ceramics in high school and convinced the teacher that I could make sculpture. Then I didn't touch art for 11 years, and I bought a ball of clay one day when I was 27. So I had no background in a classroom, and one day about 10 years ago, Paula and John asked me if I would teach at the Woodstock School of Art, and I actually thought, I've never been in a classroom, but I thought I'll try it. I think it was through looking at my work, and I had done a show with Eric Angeluk, who teaches here and has a beautiful, very tight, accurate technique of rendering realism, which I tend towards too. So it probably took me a good 2 years to learn how to teach. I basically just replicated what I did, and from there, which in my home, I use myself as a model, I use mirrors. The first day, the first class, I had 3 people, and I put them in front of mirrors, and they were horrified, just horrified to look at themselves, and I thought, oh boy, this isn't gonna work. So we kind of would start with the face even, and it really was, it was just fascinating. It was almost like it had turned into Psychology 101 all of a sudden, and art. And I was trying, and I found myself not only teaching direct observation, which is what I teach. There's no interpretation. Now we have a model, and you scan the surface of the body, and you just repeat it. It's like a meditation. And that attention, that extreme attention to what is in front of you, is beauty. And that was what, when I had people in front of a mirror, it's like, that is beauty. But they were too overcome by society's definition. So I still recommend it for anyone. You know, we always have a live model. We do an 8-week session, and it is the model. I just find the human body, I mean, endless. I've tended to, in the past, to get attached to one model, and I mean, I could use the same model, because that's my own background, over and over, but just the gesture. And in the beginning of my work, that's how it always started. It was gesture-driven, and then from a gesture, from there, a story or a narrative developed. Model in the middle. I mean, there's something so primal. The first artwork that's ever found, the Venus of Willendorf, I think that's 30,000 years ago, is a female figure. And it's almost, to some extent, I teach how I taught myself, which is it's individual, one-on-one, and it's corrective, and to some degree, if you want the instruction, or if it's just too glaring of a mistake that I have to correct it. I teach proportion, and I tend to tell people, my students, you know, you can make this, you have this wonderful opportunity to have a model, and they're rare and wonderful creatures. You might see more snow leopards in your life. And we have really, but there's something innate when someone comes in and there's a model and we're standing in a circle, that it's like they walk through the door and they already have a connection, the model, the clay, and themselves, and it's pre-structured. And in some ways, I mean, somewhere along the line, and most of my students, well, they range from like 40 years old to 60, somewhere they were taught they couldn't make art. That seems to be because all children make art. You put children around with a piece of clay, and they just dig in there, and they won't even listen to the instructor. And I tend to encourage that. And I describe my way. Here's how I found my way. Here's how I do it. Everybody has their own genius, and everybody will find their own way. But it's really this sort of naturalness and simplicity that you return to, that somewhere it got complicated and you believed that you couldn't do it. Well, once again, my story of how I started to make art, I loved clay in high school. And I think in the senior year, I'd done all my required courses, and I lived out in the ceramics department. And then when I was 27, I was a short order cook. Worked in a pizza restaurant. I lived in a small town. I didn't make any art for, you know, years and years. I just worked. And I'd walk around town and people would come up to me and they'd look at my dog and they go, "Hi, Zoe," and they'd look at me and they go, "Hi, pizza girl." I'm like, oh, God, I don't want to be a pizza girl at 30. And I was like, I wanted to find something that that was meaningful. And I had just watched that whole series with Joseph Campbell where he said to follow your bliss. And I thought, I have no idea what my bliss is. So I made these silly lists, like things that I liked. I mean, this is a person that had made art, loved art, but just, I was too timid to go to an art school. There was real shyness. And so I found my way back, and it was just through very, you know, I liked these. I saw this little figure in a magazine. It was this little female porcelain figure, beautifully done, really delicate, and it just thrilled me, which, you know, find your bliss, that which thrills you.
Beautiful.
Bought a ball. That was it. I mean, when she lays down, I'll show you, it hits right, her ankle hits right about there. So from the top, and this is where your ankle is down here, from 2 head lengths. So you've got another almost.
So measure the head again.
I mean, I do a head measurement, but then I just double check. So these have to be the same, and so you just want to bring that out that much to there. See?
Yeah.
So from,
the
let's
bend
say,
is right here, so the kneecap is.
yeah. So
here.
right to the edge, you want to come out. This curve right in here, it tapers and curves, and this right in here, you've got a roundness in here, and this really tapers in. This line here,
Yeah.
right there, that's much more forward. You see how it comes up in here and it actually runs up here. So you want to bring that. It would come right up, about like up in there. And then you're going to, that's where you're going to start this whole curving.
I just added some.
Oh, you, good,
Yeah.
good.